CEO pretends to sleep to test the black maid's daughter and learns the biggest lesson of his life. He's going to get cold. Mommy.int. Halle Tech Penthouse, Night, San Francisco, 2024 floor-to-ceiling glass. The bay glows in the distance. Smell of new leather and expensive coffee. The air conditioning hums low. On the leather couch, Christopher Halle, 38, tall suit unbuttoned, steady breathing, sleeps. On the walnut table, an Italian leather wallet, shiny metal, bills in plain sight. The door opens with a discreet beep. Selena Carter, 33, radiant black skin, striking beauty even under cold light. Long, straight hair falls over the back of her uniform. Her hands still smell of disinfectant. In her arms, Lily, 4 years old. Pink coat and a small blue blanket with embroidered stars. Lily, speak softly, whispers Selena. Mommy's just grabbing the cleaning cart and... We're leaving. The little girl looks at the sleeping man. Big, curious eyes. He looks sad, says Lily. He's just tired. Don't touch anything, my love. Short pauses. Soft footsteps on the carpet. Lily slips out of her mother's arm. Walks on tiptoe. Selena freezes. Her heart races. Lily. She breathes out tense. The child approaches the couch and lifts the blanket. No, baby, please. Lily gently covers Christopher's shoulders. Smooths the blanket. Whispers, he's going to get cold, Mommy. Selena closes her eyes for a second, relief and fear mixed. She pulls Lily back, kisses her forehead. Thank you for being kind. Now let's go. Bam. The inner door opens abruptly. Janine Parker, early 40s, head of facilities, sharp heels, tablet in hand, enters like she owns the place. Her gaze scans Selena from head to toe. Rules exist for a reason, she snaps coldly. Children aren't allowed on this floor after 7 p.m. I know, ma'am. I stayed late. The daycare closed early because of the rain. No excuses. Janine points to the table. And get your daughter away from Mr. Hale's belongings. Selena shrinks a little but stands her ground. She only put a blanket. She didn't touch anything. Janine smirks, the kind that stings. Do you understand how that looks on camera? A child near the CEO's wallet? Selena turns pale. That's unfair. What's unfair is losing the trust of the board. Janine's already typing something. Open your bag. Excuse me? Company policy. Preventive check. Selena sets her bag on the side table. Zipper opens. Cleaning gloves. A plain wallet. Keys. A child's drawing of stars. Lily squeezes her mother's hand. I didn't steal anything, says Selena, voice steady despite the shame burning her face. Don't talk about stealing. No one said that. Janine lifts her chin. Just cooperate. On the couch, Christopher's hand twitches briefly under the blanket, barely noticeable. The sleeper is taking it all in. In the glass hallway, Meredith Cole, early 30s, executive assistant, watches through the crack in the door. Cell phone in hand, a photo of the scene, the child, the wallet, the employee. A drafted text. We need to talk about boundaries. She hesitates. Sends it. Back in the office, Selena finishes the forced inspection. Nothing irregular. Christopher's wallet remains untouched on the table. Janine shrugs, as if that doesn't matter. See, says Selena, holding back tears. I take care of my daughter. I take care of my job. Janine steps closer, voice low, sharp. Take care of your image, too. Around here, perception is reality. Lily hides behind her mother's legs. Mommy, is the lady mad? Selena takes a deep breath. It's okay. Baby. The tension thickens. The city below remains alive. Horns, distant sirens. Up here, expensive silence and quick judgments. Selena gently lifts the blanket from Christopher's shoulder. The edge brushes his suit lapel. "Let's go," Lily dot. As they turn to the door, a subtle light turns on under the side table. The intercom. Christopher's deep voice cuts through the room like a cold blade. "Meredith, call security." Now. Selena freezes, looks back. Christopher's still asleep. Janine raises her eyebrows, satisfied. "Mr. Hawley?" Meredith responds through the speaker, surprised. His voice again, without opening his eyes, and called aboard for first thing in the morning. "I want witnesses." Heavy footsteps in the hallway. 2 security guards approach, shadows reflected in the glass. Selena hugs Lily instinctively. "Don't be afraid," she says, more to herself than her daughter. The doorknob turns. The door begins to open. Christopher's closed eyes flicker slightly. A dangerous game he thinks he's in control of. The red badge reader light blinks. One of the guards enters with a form. Janine reaches out, ready to point. The ceiling camera tilts a few millimeters and focuses on the wallet. "Sign the warning for protocol violation," the guard announces. "Or your badge will be suspended immediately. Before we continue, tell me something. Where are you watching this story from? Drop it in the comments. I really want to know how far our love stories are reaching. And if you enjoy these intense plots, full of twists and emotion, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any episodes and you'll help this space grow, bringing even more stories made especially for you. Sign the warning for protocol violation, or your badge will be suspended immediately. The hallway air feels colder. Selena grips the pen, her hand still smelling of disinfectant. Lily, in her arms, hides her face in the pink coat. From the couch, behind the glass, Christopher remains still beneath the starry blue blanket. The signature comes out firm, but weighs heavily on her chest. The night stretches on in expensive silence and thick carpets. When the automatic lights shut off, Selena walks through the lobby carrying Lily, head held high, with a dignity that asks no permission. From the mezzanine, cell phones record. Whispers. She brought the kid to the 48th floor. Looks like a setup. The door spins. Rain falls gently over Market Street. Mother and daughter vanish into the mist. The next morning. First thing, boardroom. Glass walls, Bayview. Strong coffee, PR hiding dark circles, spreadsheets glowing on giant screens. Executives take their seats with calculated steps. Janine Parker arrives with her tablet, winner's posture. Legal counsel, Priya Desai, checks a gray folder. HR Director Allison Reed arranges documents on the table, warning, suspension, terms. Christopher enters last. Impeccable suit, stone face. The blue blanket is no longer with him. Thank you for coming early, says Christopher, skipping greetings. I need clarity. Last night, an employee crossed a line and used her daughter, a 4-year-old minor, to approach this position. Espionage and proximity. The room goes still. A restrained murmur. Victor Lang, CFO, adjusts his watch. This exposes the company to leakage risk. Prototyping, pipeline, confidential partnerships. Selena is called in. Not in uniform, just a simple dress, long straight hair like a dark stream. Lily stays at reception, sitting on a little acrylic chair, doodling stars with a crayon. The receptionist, Nora, tries to distract her with stickers. Selena takes a breath and faces the table. Good morning, she says, calm. I'm here to clarify. Christopher doesn't offer a chair. Clarify why you brought your daughter to a restricted floor and why she got close to me and my belongings. Because I had no one to leave her with. Daycare closed early due to rain. She didn't touch anything. She covered you with a blanket. Janine cuts in, sharp. She was near the wallet. Cameras show it. Perception is reality, Miss Carter. Selina holds her gaze. My reality is honest work. Yours is judging without listening. Allison from HR offers a practical tone. We have policies. Children above the 20th floor only with authorization. Section 7.3.2, you violated it. I called to say I'd be staying late, says Selina. The floor was empty. I was just finishing my shift. Priya from legal adjusts her glasses. The issue isn't your shift. It's the proximity to the CEO and sensitive information. The company needs to ensure security and avoid precedent. Precedent is accusing those without power to defend themselves, Selina replies. If you want the truth, watch the video with audio. Christopher's eyes don't flinch. We saw enough. What I saw was an unacceptable attempt at closeness. We're not going to normalize that behavior. Attempt at closeness? Selina repeats, wounded but firm. I teach my daughter to respect. She saw an adult sleeping and thought to keep him warm. That's all. Victor crosses his arms. Or it's too convenient, a touching scene, to create sympathy. The tone carries an educated bias. Janine leans forward. Do you understand our environment? This isn't a school. It's a publicly traded corporation. We need professionals who understand boundaries. My boundary is your humanity, says Selina, her throat tight. And that doesn't require a badge. Silence. Meredith, the executive assistant, watches from the side of the room. Her phone vibrates in her hand. A quick, almost timid notification. Cameras, new file sensed. She doesn't open it. She looks at Christopher, who pretends not to notice. Allison slides a document toward Selina. Immediate suspension, without pay, pending internal investigation. Hand your badge to security. You may contest in writing within 72 hours. What exactly am I contesting? Asks Selina, eyes brimming. That my daughter is seen as a threat? Christopher ends the discussion with a gesture. Enough. I have zero tolerance. If anyone here believes it's acceptable to use a child to cross boundaries, speak now. No one speaks. The air conditioning blows a blade of cold. Selina picks up the pen. Lily appears at the glass door, hands pressed to the panel, nose smushed, a star drawn on her palm. Mommy? The room falters. Some avert their gaze. Priya clears her throat. Janine sighs, impatient. Christopher remains impassive. Go back. To the chair, sweetheart, says Selina, trying to smile. Mommy's almost done. He was cold, insists Lily, with the honesty of someone who doesn't know how to hurt. I just gave him the blanket. The sentence echoes in a way no one dares to admit. Meredith closes her eyes for a moment, as if embracing a memory. Christopher doesn't move. Selina signs the suspension. The line trembles at the end. She returns the pen, places her badge on the table. If you want truth, check the audio. If you want an example, think about what you're teaching. She turns to get Lily. Nora holds the door open for the girl. Everything will be okay? The receptionist whispers. As Selina reaches her daughter, a soft email chime echoes in the room. Meredith flinches. New message, IT. Audio signal detected on penthouse intercom. Attachment, .wav file. Subject line, clip 2317. He's going to get cold. Christopher catches the reflection of the phone screen in the glass table. For a moment, his expression cracks. Janine notices the fissure. We'll reopen the discussion if necessary, says Christopher coldly. For now, the decision stands. Selina grips Lily's hand, takes 2 steps, and stops. The silence is heavy. From Christopher's blazer pocket, a glint of metal, the edge of the Italian wallet. Meredith bites her lip. The tip of the blue blanket, folded by Selena and left with the receptionist, reappears in Lily's small hands. As she lifts it up, unknowingly mistiming the moment, he might need it again today. The cold chime of the intercom lights up in the corner of the screen. An icon blinks, autoplay enabled. The sound begins to flow through the boardroom speakers, a clean recording. The first word is a child's breath, then almost a whisper. "He's going to get cold, Mommy." Everyone looks up at once. Christopher clenches his jaw. Meredith hovers between pausing and letting it play. Her finger lingers over the button. The audio echoes through the boardroom speakers. The short breathing of a child, then the soft, innocent voice. "He's going to get cold, Mommy." The sound fills the glass-walled space like a confession impossible to ignore. Executives exchange looks. Some clear their throats, uncomfortable. Christopher remains motionless, but the tight jaw gives away the impact. Meredith stops the file. Before it continues. Absolute silence. Selena is no longer in the room. Only her absence lingers like proof. Lily and the blue blanket were left behind, like an involuntary reminder. Christopher stands. Meeting adjourned. The firm tone doesn't. Hide the fracture. Hours later, in the penthouse. Night falls over San Francisco. The golden reflection of the lit-up bridge floods the glass. Christopher reviews files on his laptop, security footage, intercom audio, access logs. He watches the moment over and over. Selena holding Lily, desperate, but never once moving toward the wallet. The replay shows the child offering the blanket, a disarming tenderness. Christopher runs a hand through his hair, exhausted. For the first time in years, he can't find a logical justification for his accusation. Why didn't she take anything? He murmurs to himself. Anyone else would have taken the chance. But she didn't. In the corner of the screen, Lily's face lights up as she covers his shoulders. He pauses on that frame, leans closer to the screen. The girl's expression holds no calculation, only innocent compassion. He shuts the laptop hard, gets up and walks across the large apartment. Silence echoes on the hardwood floors. At the bar, he pours an expensive whiskey but doesn't drink it. The glass remains forgotten on the side table. A memory assaults him. His mother, years ago, still in her maid's uniform, holding his hand. A blond 9-year-old boy in a poor neighborhood in Oakland. Her firm voice. "No matter what they say, Christopher. Our dignity is the one thing no one can take from us." He closes his eyes tightly, as if trying to erase it. But the memory doesn't fade. The image of Selena, standing firm through humiliation, blends with his mother's voice. The guilt, the one he won't admit out loud, gnaws at him silently. Meredith enters cautiously, file in hand. "I reviewed the videos. There's nothing compromising. Just the child. Just the blanket." Christopher doesn't look at her. "And the reports? They're already circulating among the directors. But some are uncomfortable. They think it was too harsh." He clenches his fists. "They don't understand. I can't afford to be deceived." Meredith dares. "Or maybe you just don't want to admit that." There was no deception. Christopher's gaze cuts through her like a blade. "You're dismissed." Meredith leaves, the door slides shut, and the penthouse returns to silence. Christopher approaches the window. The reflection shows a man seemingly in control, but his green eyes are clouded. He picks up the blue blanket, left by the receptionist on the armchair, forgotten in the morning chaos. He holds the soft fabric between his fingers. The child's scent still lingers there. "He's going to get cold, Mommy." The phrase returns, throbbing, as if the echo came from within. Deep down he knows. It wasn't Selena who crossed the line. It was him. Christopher closes his hand around the blanket. Eyes lost in the city. For the first time in years, he feels afraid, not of failure, but of having become the man his mother always feared he would be. Rain pours hard over San Francisco's sloped streets. Lightning illuminates old buildings, shuttered storefronts, street lamps reflected on the asphalt. Christopher drives his black armored SUV in silence. The wipers cut through the water, but his mind is elsewhere. The sound of the child's voice still hammering. He's going to get cold, mommy. At a phase. Dark intersection. The light turns green and he sees her. Selena walks against the wind, her long, wet hair clinging to her back. In her arms, Lily sleeps curled in her pink coat, the blue blanket shielding her face. No umbrella. Just the strength of a mother braving the storm. Christopher breaks suddenly. His heart races. He lowers the window. "Get in," he says, voice firmer than he intended. Selena turns, surprised. Her eyes reflect the headlights. "No, thank you. I don't need your help." "You'll get sick," he insists, "and so will the girl." Selena holds Lily tighter to her chest. "My daughter is not your concern." For a moment, Christopher almost gives up, but instinct wins. He gets out, faces the rain soaking his suit, opens the back door. "Please, just accept the ride." I insist." Her expression wavers between anger and exhaustion. Water runs down her face, but her eyes shine with a mix of dignity and contained despair. Selena gets in, gently adjusts Lily in the seat, covers her with the blanket. Christopher closes the door, takes a deep breath, and returns to the wheel. Inside the car, the silence is heavy. The sound of the rain on the windows is almost a judgment. Lily sighs in her sleep, leaning on her mother's shoulder. Christopher ventures, "She's incredible." Selena doesn't take her eyes off her daughter. "She's just a child. She deserves peace. And you almost destroyed that." He swallows hard. "I was wrong." Selena looks up cold. "Wrong? You exposed me in front of everyone. Called my daughter a threat. That's not just a mistake. It's cruelty." Christopher grips the steering wheel. "I don't trust easily. I need to be sure about the people around me. And you decided the way to test that was to humiliate someone who couldn't defend herself?" Selena cuts in. "I don't need your pity now. I need your respect." Her words cut like a blade. He doesn't respond. Just drives, headlights sweeping over empty streets. He watches in the rearview mirror as Selena strokes her daughter's wet hair, adjusts her coat, whispers something sweet. It's tenderness without pretense, real. Christopher feels his chest tighten. Behind all the CEO armor, he realizes a truth he can't control. There's a strength in Selena that disarms him. When the car stops in front of the small building in Inglewood, Selena reaches for the door handle. "Thank you for the ride. But don't think this erases what you did." Christopher looks at her, his green eyes full of something he won't name. "I just wanted to make sure you got home safe." Selena opens the door. "Take care of your conscience, Mr. Hawley. We take care of ourselves." She steps out, the rain lighter now, but the weight in his heart unchanged. He watches as mother and daughter disappear down the narrow hallway. The blue blanket sways on Lily's small back. Inside the car, alone, Christopher leaned his head back against the seat. For the first time, he wasn't in control. A quiet guilt consumed him, but so did something new, a dangerous curiosity. On the car dashboard, his phone vibrated. An anonymous message appeared on the screen. "If you keep getting involved with her, you'll regret it. That woman isn't who you think she is." The next morning, the gray sky still reflected off the tall windows of Hawley Tech. Christopher arrived early, but his mind wasn't on routine. The image of Selena in the rain, holding her daughter, lingered in his thoughts like a persistent shadow. He saw her enter the building quietly, uniform crisp, hair tied back in a simple bun, still damp from the cold morning. Christopher approached her in the hallway, maintaining a calculated executive tone. "I need to talk to you." Selina looked up, cautious. "About what?" "About yesterday." He adjusted his jacket, trying to hide his discomfort. "I want to apologize." My tone was inappropriate. She crossed her arms, not softening her gaze. "An apology doesn't erase the humiliation, Mr. Hawley." "It doesn't," he admitted flatly. "But it's what I can offer right now." Selina took a deep breath, said nothing, and walked down the hallway, leaving him with a rare feeling. Being out of control. Later, on the 32nd floor, an internal meeting brought together directors and support staff. Topic: a social project the company would fund in local public schools. To everyone's surprise, Selina was called in to participate. Janine, displeased, didn't hide her disdain. "I don't know why the cleaning staff is on the agenda." Christopher cut her off quickly. "She's here because I decided so." Selina stood her ground, even feeling the weight of the stairs. At the oval table, surrounded by suits and laptops, she seemed out of place, but when she spoke, the atmosphere shifted. Schools in Oakland don't just need computers. They need safe transportation for the kids to get there. If the company wants real impact, it should listen to the families first. A respectful silence filled the room. The CFO tried to object. "That's beyond the budget." Selina looked directly at him. "This isn't about budget. It's about priority. If they can't get to school, the computers become decoration." Christopher watched in silence, intrigued. Her words cut through rehearsed speeches. For the first time, he didn't see her as an invisible employee, but someone who saw beyond the obvious. At the end of the meeting, while the executives murmured, Christopher approached. "You spoke with conviction." "I spoke about what I see every day," she replied. "People you all forget until you need pretty numbers for the annual report." He didn't have an immediate response. He just felt something different. Respect. As Selina left the room, Christopher remained still, staring at the door. Inside him, the first spark burned quietly, and he knew it wouldn't be easy to extinguish. On Christopher's phone, the same anonymous notification appeared again. "Be careful. She knows more than she should." The anonymous warning still blinked on Christopher's phone when whispers began spreading through the halls of Hollytech. First, quiet murmurs in the elevator, then snide comments in the 10th floor coffee lounge. "She's charming the boss to get a promotion. Did you see?" The CEO even brought the cleaning lady into a meeting. Short, poisonous laughs feeding the scandal. Selina noticed the sideways glances. When she walked into the cafeteria to get a glass of water, silence hit instantly. Conversations cut off, phone subtly tilted in her direction. She walked to the sink, head held high, but her throat burned. At that moment, Meredith entered, holding reports. She tried to ignore the tension but overheard a group of analysts by the window. If it's not seduction, then what? No one gets that close to the CEO, just like that. Selina turned firm. "Want to accuse me? Look me in the eye and say it." Awkward silence. One of them mumbled, "No offense." "It's just what people are saying." Before she could respond, the cafeteria door slammed open. Christopher walked in, dark suit, determined steps. The room froze. Everyone pulled back in their seats. He had heard the last comment. His glare chilled the air. "Who said that?" he asked, voice low but sharp. No one answered. A second of tension stretched into eternity. Then Christopher walked up to the analyst's table. "You think you can smear an employee's reputation with cheap rumors?" One tried to explain. "Mr. Hawley, it was just a comment." "A comment?" Christopher interrupted, slamming his hand on the table. The The sound echoed. That kind of insinuation ruins lives. You have no idea how heavy your words can be. And I won't allow this company to turn into a gossip courtroom. Selina stood silently, surprised by the anger he directed at his own executives. Christopher continued, firm. If anyone here slanders Miss Carter again, they'll be dismissed immediately. I don't care what position they hold. Is that clear? A murmur of yes, sir, swept through the room. Shame spread across the faces. Christopher turned to Selina, his tone more controlled now. You don't need to defend yourself from this. Not in this company. Not while I'm here. She looked at him, eyes teary, but not out of weakness, out of disbelief. Why are you doing this? Yesterday you humiliated me in front of everyone. Today you defend me? He took a deep breath, searching for words. Because yesterday I was blind. Today, I can't let the same injustice happen again. Selina lowered her gaze for a second, feeling the contradiction burn in her chest. Trust was hard, but it was impossible to ignore something had shifted in his eyes. As Christopher left the room, he found a folded note left on his desk. No signature. Firm letters in black ink. If you keep protecting this woman, you'll lose much more than your reputation. The threatening note still burned in Christopher's pocket when, days later, Selina was called to a routine meeting. The atmosphere was tense, almost palpable. But the unexpected happened not in the boardroom, it happened in the company's archive. Selina had been assigned to help organize old boxes to be transferred to the communications department. Among dusty folders and photographs stored in envelopes, she found something that made her stop. A slightly yellowed black and white portrait, a young black woman in a simple uniform, reserved smile, holding the hand of a blond boy in a suit. Too small for his frame, Selina pressed the photo between her fingers. She recognized the green eyes of the child, the same gaze that years later cut through any room. Christopher appeared at the door, unnoticed. What do you have there? She turned slowly. Is this your mother? His face went pale. He stepped forward, took the photo firmly, but couldn't hide the crack in his expression. Where did you find this? In the 1989 box, she replied. That's you, right? And this woman. She's your mother. Christopher took a deep breath, leaning on the table. The CEO mask began to crack. She worked as a maid in Oakland. Cleaned houses where I was just the invisible kid. I never told anyone. That in here, Selina stepped closer, voice low but steady. That's why you don't trust anyone. You grew up surrounded by closed doors, judged before anyone ever asked your name. He looked up at her, surprised by her clarity. They used to laugh at me, at her uniform. Said I'd never belong in this world. I swore no one would ever see that part of my life. And that's the part that makes you human, Selina replied. You've been hiding behind suits and power, but you're still carrying the same boy in that picture. Christopher sank into the leather chair, staring at the photo. Everything I built was to prove them wrong. But somehow, I became one of them. The silence in the room grew heavy. Selina touched his shoulder, a simple gesture that disarmed him more than any argument. I understand your pain. The difference is I don't have the privilege of hiding mine. Everyone sees it when I look in the mirror. His eyes welled up, but he turned away, trying to regain control. You weren't supposed to know this. It's my secret. Not anymore, Selina said softly. And maybe it's the only real thing between us. Christopher's phone vibrated on the table. Another anonymous message, sharp letters. If you reveal more of your past, it won't just be your reputation that falls. Think about the company. Think about what you have to lose. He gripped the phone tightly, heart racing. For the first time, he didn't know if he was afraid of the threat or of how much Selina had already come to mean to him. The threat still weighed on Christopher's mind when the night of Tech's grand annual reception arrived. The hall glittered with crystal chandeliers, fine tables, soft orchestra music in the background. Executives moved about with champagne glasses, rehearsed smiles, and flawless attire. Selena walked in with steady steps, though her heart raced. She wasn't in uniform, just a navy blue dress made of simple fabric that shaped her figure with elegance. Her hair was down, straight and shiny. No expensive jewelry, only a pair of discreet earrings. Still, her presence stole the air. From the room, murmurs rose. Some looks of judgment, others of surprise. Christopher watched her walk across the room. The world around him seemed to fall silent. He forgot the speech he was supposed to give, even the threat in his pocket. He just followed her with his eyes, overtaken by a force he couldn't control. When the orchestra began a soft waltz, he approached. "Dance with me." Selena turned, surprised. "Have you lost your mind?" "Everyone's watching." "Let them watch," he replied, extending his hand. "Just one dance." She hesitated, but the intensity in his eyes held her. Slowly, she placed her hand in his. The touch was electric. On the dance floor, the two moved in sync, even though they'd never rehearsed. Christopher led with confidence, but not arrogance. Selena felt the security in his arms, but also the vulnerability few dared to show. "Why are you doing this?" she murmured, avoiding direct eye contact. "Because I can't ignore how I feel when you're near," he confessed, his voice rough. Her heart raced. "This can't happen. I have a daughter. I can't take that risk." Christopher gently pulled her closer, his face near hers. "I've risked everything to build an empire. For the first time, I'm willing to risk something for what's real." Music slowed. They stopped, so close they breathed the same air. Selena closed her eyes for a moment, and that was all it took. Christopher leaned in and kissed her. A deep kiss, charged with restrained desire and unspoken emotion. The entire room seemed to vanish. There was no company, no rules, just the two of them. When they pulled apart, Selena was breathing heavily. "That was a mistake," she said, voice trembling, though her eyes sparkled with feelings she didn't want to admit. "Then why couldn't you push me away?" Christopher challenged. She didn't answer. She just turned her face, her skin burning. That night, the kiss burned into them like fire. But the next morning, Selena returned to reality. She dropped Lily off at the community daycare and, before entering Tech, looked at her own reflection in the tall glass windows. She touched her lips, still marked by the memory of the dance. Inside the office, Christopher was waiting, full of a hope he hadn't confessed to anyone. But Selena was direct. "Nothing happened last night," she said coldly. "I can't get involved with you. I have a responsibility to protect my daughter. She's my future, and I won't stain that with an impossible romance." He stared at her, disbelieving. "What's impossible is pretending there's nothing between us." Selena took a deep breath, hiding the pain. "Then we'll have to pretend. At that moment, Meredith rushed into the room, her face pale. She handed Christopher a brown envelope. "This came for you." He opened it, and the color drained from his face. Inside was a printed photo of him and Selena, caught mid-kiss by a hidden lens. The photo of the kiss was still on the desk when Tech's board was urgently called to a meeting. The room was thick with tension. Directors lined up in tailored suits, screens lit with manipulated charts and digital reports circulating on tablets. Victor Lang, the senior partner, opened the meeting with a calculated tone. "Gentlemen, we have evidence of misconduct." The CEO of this company became involved with a subordinate, and in addition, financial documents point to embezzlement in newly approved social projects. The blow landed hard. Screens showed altered reports, transfers to unknown accounts. Christopher's face hardened. This is false. I never approved those transactions. Victor smiled coldly. It's under your login, your password, your digital signature. For the SEC, for shareholders, for the press. It's enough. Murmurs rose among the executives. Meredith fidgeted, uneasy. Selina, called in as a witness from the earlier meeting about the social projects, felt her heart racing. Christopher looked around, alone in the face of hungry eyes. For the first time, he seemed truly defeated. Selina raised her voice. These reports aren't authentic. Victor scoffed. And how can Miss Carter, a cleaning specialist, know that? She didn't flinch. Because I helped organize the project's physical documents. I know what the originals looked like. These here have inconsistent dates and bank codes that don't match local branches. People exchanged surprised glances. Selina walked up to the screen and pointed firmly. Here, transfer dated on a Sunday. U.S. banks don't process on Sundays. And here, a branch that doesn't even exist in San Francisco. It's a sloppy fraud, but it's meant to fool people who don't live the reality. Victor tried to interrupt. That proves nothing. Christopher stood, his voice resonant. It proves. You're desperate. Who else had access to my login? Who else gains if I'm forced out? Silence fell like a blade. Some directors looked away. Victor, now under pressure, began to sweat. Selina faced the room. You judged me and my daughter for nothing. Now you tried to destroy a man with fake evidence. This company has to choose whether to live by appearances or by truth. The words echoed through the room. Christopher, overcome with emotion, sat again, eyes filled with tears. He buried his head in his hands. When he looked back at Selina, his voice cracked. I wanted to test you. But in the end, I was the one being tested. Selina's chest burned. There was no triumph in watching a powerful man stripped of his defenses. There was humanity. Suddenly, the boardroom lights flickered. A red alert appeared on the screens. External file detected. A video began playing automatically. The footage showed a hidden camera pointed at Christopher's office. A hooded figure accessed his computer, copied files to a flash drive. The face wasn't visible, but the expensive watch on his wrist gave him away. Meredith covered her mouth, recognizing the accessory. Victor tried to stand, but the entire room stared in shock. The video exposed the truth. Victor tried to deny it, but the expensive watch on his wrist betrayed him mercilessly. Within minutes, security escorted him out of the room, as directors murmured in a mix of shock and relief. Christopher stood motionless, his eyes brimming, with Selina in the background, watching silently. When the boardroom doors closed, only the two of them remained. The weight of everything they'd been through lingered in the air. Christopher walked slowly toward her, his face marked by exhaustion and the vulnerability he usually kept hidden. I built an empire, Selina, he said, his voice breaking. But I've never been this close to losing it all. If my name is still clean today, it's because you believed in me when I didn't believe in anyone. Selina took a deep breath, fighting emotion. I didn't do it for you. I did it for the truth. My daughter deserves to grow up in a world where justice isn't a privilege for the few. He looked at her intensely. And that's exactly why I can't imagine my life without you. Without her. You've changed how I see everything. Selina looked away, her heart racing. Christopher, I can't live in the shadow of your power. My life has always been worthy, even with nothing. If I ever stand beside you, it won't be for what you own. Christopher stepped closer, unafraid to bare his soul. Then let it be for who I'm trying to become. I want to be with you, not as a CEO, but as a man. I want to care for Lily like she's my own. I want to be worthy of what you represent." Selena's eyes filled with tears. The memory of the humiliation, the threats, the looks of contempt, all contrasted with the man now kneeling before her, breaking his own pride. "Are you sure?" she whispered, voice shaking. "More than any decision I've ever made," he replied. "I don't know how to love halfway, Selena. I choose you. I choose the life we can build together." She reached out and touched his face, feeling, for the first time, the real vulnerability behind those green eyes. "Then understand this. Not for your money, not for your last name, but because you learn to see who we truly are. I accept." Christopher pulled her into a deep, almost desperate hug, like someone finding what they'd searched for their whole life. The kiss that followed wasn't just passion. It was a promise. Lily came running into the room, the blue blanket in her hands. "Mommy, are we going home?" Selena smiled, still teary-eyed. "Yes, sweetheart. Now we have a real home." Christopher knelt in front of the little girl. "If you'll let me, I want to be part of it too." The child looked at her mom, then at him, and placed the blanket on Christopher's shoulders, just like she had that first night. "You always forget to cover up," she said innocently. He laughed through tears, hugging them both. In that simple gesture was the greatest lesson a powerful man could learn. There was no greater wealth in love and shared dignity. As the three walked out the front doors together, reporters were waiting outside. Questions flew, flashes went off, but Christopher didn't hide. Holding hands with Selena and Lily, he looked up at the cameras, unafraid of judgment. For the first time, he was ready to be seen as he truly was. True wealth isn't in control or money, but in the ability to recognize human worth and allow yourself to be changed by genuine love. So, what did you think of this story? I really want to hear your opinion. Drop a comment from 0 to 10 telling how much this story moved you. Don't forget to like it if you enjoyed it, share with someone who deserves to hear it too, and subscribe to the channel to follow the next chapters. Before you go, I've already picked another emotional story that's going to touch your heart even more.